So earlier today, patch 10.2 was revealed, and I gotta say, for me, it far exceeded my expectations. Potentially, a part of that is because I'm a Druid main, but in general, it's looking really good. I'm gonna be posting a video, by the way, probably around the same time as this one, titled something like "Why You Might Want to Main Druid in 10.2," as it's looking amazing. So yeah, right now we're not gonna talk about that though. Today's about something more important, and that I think is very important for the future of WoW PvP and the health of the game. And that is a new game mode that has been announced, which is very, very hype, which is called Battleground Blitz. Okay, so we're going to go over kind of what this is, how it's going to work, how many players on each team, can you solo queue, can you duo queue, and yeah, just kind of what's going on with that. So let's dive into it. So one thing I did not expect this morning while we were waiting for the 10.2 announcement was such a meteoric change to what WoW PvP is and what it can be in the future. Just 3 days ago, I made a video talking about the problems of WoW PvP and why players are finding it unappealing. And in that video, the issue was brought up that it might need just a brand new look at what it can be and a refreshing take on what WoW PvP is. And it seems like this actually kind of is that. So I'm very happy with this. I think it's a welcome change, as WoW PvP recently has definitely been kind of struggling. And I think a refreshing take on what it can be is very helpful. But yeah, let's dive into this preview of this new game mode. So it's called Battleground Blitz. It's going to start as a brawl, sorted shuffle, to kind of test it out, which is fair enough. Here we go. Let's kind of read through this and just kind of go through it and give my thoughts on it, potential concerns. Yeah, let's dive into it. Our first venture into solo rated PvP in WoW was Solo Shuffle. Following its success, we're now looking to experiment with a format we're calling it Battleground Blitz for solo queue rated BGs. So in a way, it was a success, but of course it did have its failures, which this post will also kind of address. Battleground Blitz is an 8v8 solo queue Battleground experience. 8v8, personally, I think is a good sweet spot. I think 6 might be a bit too little. 10, I think, is a bit too much. With 8v8, I think you kind of skip some healer DPS ratio issues, which this post will also talk about. So I'm pretty happy with the 8v8 format. And our first foray into what could potentially become solo queue rated battlegrounds in the future. We learned a lot from Solo Shuffle that informed the gameplay considerations of BGs in a solo queue environment for this brawl, which will be discussed here. So as I was editing this video, one thing crossed my mind. The new ping function that came in 10.7, I think fits perfectly with the game mode like Battleground Blitz, and I'm very hyped to see how this will affect it. So yeah, that's the one thing I want to add. This new function could be awesome in this game mode. So for this next part, they address the most important issue with solo queue so far in WoW, or Solo Shuffle, by the way, in my opinion. Solo Shuffle isn't really like a true solo queue because you queue up, you get a team, and it's shuffled around 6 times. That's not really what at least I have in mind when it comes to solo queue, and I think most people, that's kind of like you queue solo queue, you get on a team in the game, and that is the game you play the whole way till you win or you lose. That's kind of like my preferred way also of playing Solo Shuffle or solo queue in games in general. Sorry, not Solo Shuffle. But yeah, let's read this. We've been happy with how Solo Shuffle lowered the barrier to entry in Rated Arena and served as an accessible PvP game mode. This is true, because you can't just queue alone. I think that is the most important part of any game to be successful, is to be able to come home from work, school, whatever, queue up, and just get into a game within that time frame you have to play. Sadly, Solo Shuffle failed there miserably in the way that they will address now, and that is the long queue times because of low healer to DPS ratio. Typically 4 damage dealers for every healer waiting in queue during the most active times. So this was costing the 30 minutes to like 1 hour queue times that we've been dealing with for almost a year now. It's been a long time. And this game mode, thankfully, is kind of addressing this in a pretty good way. We previously experimented with other formats for BGs, like the Deep 6 Brawl and Legion. We felt the team sizes were too small for some of the available maps, especially larger ones like Arathi Basin. Additionally, we want to try some updates to map formats that we think will make better solo queue experience in rated BGs. I really hope eventually they will make new maps that are designed for this game mode, this 8v8 game mode. I think that there's a huge potential there. which I would assume is the plan in the long run after testing. But of course, when there's testing it, they might just make it on. They're gonna do it on old maps. But yeah, for example, in domination maps such as Deepwind Gorge, the role of being a base sitter can result in tension in a solo queue environment. We also think that shorter match lengths would be more fun for solo queue players, bringing in more frequent moment-to-moment gameplay and decision making. I think this is great. I think it's really, really good, guys. So far, this is so promising. I'm actually very surprised that this is happening so soon. Like something like this, and it's gonna get even more promising as we dive into the last part here. Battleground Blitz format. Our plan is an 8v8 format that can be queued solo or as duo if there's a healer in the pair. So you can duo queue with a friend as a healer, and I think that's actually gonna make it way more appealing for healers to kind of do as well. Is if they have a friend, a DPS that they know, they kind of trust, and then queue up with him. I think solo/duo queue is so good. Like, being able to queue alone is great, but being able to queue with a good friend is also amazing. That's even better, right? So having both of those, I think is really, really good, and it gets me very, very excited for this game mode and actually the future of WoW PP. Map mechanics and pacing are adjusted to be quicker with the goal of a 10 to 12 minute average match lengths. I think also good. Fairly shorter games compared to, like, whatever, 15, 20, 25 maybe sometimes. So that's good stuff. Team composition. The 8 players in each team will be made up of 2 healers, 5 to 6 damage dealers, and 0 to 1 tank. Okay, so opposing teams will always have the same number of tanks, 0 or 1. So on flag maps, there's going to be tanks, always. On matches that do not include tanks, will not take place on capture the flag maps. So if there's a game with no tanks, it's not going to be Warson Gulch or Twin Peaks. But tanks can be on normal maps as well. But only 1 tank per team. I think in a BG, tanks are fine. I think here finally tanks can have their own kind of role in a competitive kind of solo queue environment, because I think shuffle tanks are not very welcome by most people. Our goal with the increased ratio of healer damage dealers, as well as healers having a dual queue option, aims to alleviate potential longer queue times. So again, I think that just the nature of this format is a lot more healer friendly, which should help as well, because queuing Soul Shovel as a healer is miserable for most people, and for good reason. I think this game mode is better in that way, just by the game mode itself, and also the ratio is better. And also duo queue, so I think in this game mode, the queue times would be a lot lower. Maybe not like instant pop, but one would think that they would be lower, for sure. I think proper incentives is also crucial here. Potentially even having some incentive for PvEers to try it out. Like in Unchained Season, a lot of people play that because there was just like a good trinket for them to get, right? I think some incentive for PvEers to do PvE and some for PvEers to do PvP. A little, not too much, can be healthy for the game, but that's kind of beside the point. I think already this just looks amazing. And I do think, kind of expand on that PvEers, which is the vast majority of WoW players, like also friends, IRL friends that play WoW that I know, they do BGs, they like BGs, they never arena. And I think this is a pretty good entry to rated PP. And not as entry, but this is a good way to play rated PP for the vast majority of players. Better than arena for most people. Alright. Map pool and mechanics. Initially, the map pool will be that of rated Battleground pool, Warson Gulch, Twin Peaks, Temple, Eye of Storm, Silversharp Mines, Arathi Basin, and Deepwind Gorge. Again, you can't really get like a flag BG with no tank, so that's good. In Battleground Blitz, there are some general mechanic changes made across all maps. Now, this gets me quite excited because it kind of brings more of an objective to the game as well, which I think Arena is missing. There's only like Eye, but this kind of adds an element to it, which I think can kind of make it way more fun and spicy, especially like over long periods of time as like a viable game mode. On maps where we cast, take an objective, the cast time has been reduced from 6 to 4 seconds. That's going to reduce the game length, I guess. On domination maps, control points are captured in 30 seconds after being contested, reduced from 1 minute. On all maps, players will gain a buff that provides a large increase in mount speed, so you can move around way faster, which I think is great, because 8 players, unlike Arathi Basin, you might be doing a lot of running around, right? On several maps, there are new rune powers, or new power-up runes. Now, this is quite exciting. Shield of protection, provides a large absorb shield. Into the Shadow provides a player with stealth and increased movement speed. Rune of Frequency increases cooldown rates. And Shadow Sight provides stealth and invis protection. Okay. So if you're defending, right, you can maybe like see rogues and stuff, like any class can do it. I think this is like, it just adds such a cool element to what WoW PvP can be. So, man, I'm hyped for this, actually. But we're going to be talking like a lot about this in the coming, weeks and months. By the way, on the PTR, they are going to be testing this out soon, so we're going to be doing that as soon as we can. The goal with the changes above is to provide more moment-to-moment decision-making while adapting maps to make sense for 8-player team sizes. While ensuring the macros strategy that players find out to be fun in Battlegrounds is still intact. Sounds good to me. We look at several factors for each map, including average game lengths, the size of the map, and individual mechanics to make some modifications to have them make sense in Battleground Blitz. Out of Storm, Arathi Basin, and Deep Gorge will have the most significant changes of the pool. Okay. Out of Storm. 4 nodes available. Only 2 capturable at one time. At a time, 1 per side. Okay. Which reward points? With the middle flag being available to capture. So you can only capture 1 at a time. Interesting. By the way, I did not read this part yet. I read this part yet. Or I read this part earlier. So bear with me here. Points for capturing a flag significantly increased. When a flag is captured, the existing available nodes will become uncapturable. After 15 seconds, the other set of nodes will become available. Okay, that's interesting. It can be like a bit much to kind of just read. Might kind of see it in gameplay, and it's gonna kind of feel or make more sense. But just from like reading it, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds cool. I like this. Arathi Basin and Deepwind Gorge. 5 capturable nodes, increased resource acquisition. After capturing a node entirely, you control it for 4 to 5 seconds. It then deactivates and can be captured again 5 seconds later. Okay. So they deactivate. So you can only like hold them for so long, and then you have to redo it. To full capture node, you have to complete the 4-second cast and hold the point for 30 seconds without enemy recapturing. Okay. Cool. Interesting. So like that's when it goes from like just kind of having it to it locking in and giving you points. Yeah. Wars and Gulch and Twin Peaks. The flag carrier debuff Brutal Assault stacks 100 times faster, or 100% faster, sorry. Each stack every 15 seconds, up from 30 seconds. Okay. So, yeah, the FC buff is going to stack way faster. Maximum game length is set to 12 minutes. That was like 25, right? Battle for Gilneas, increased resource acquisition rate. I think this is like a very good BG for this kind of game mode. Silvershard Mines and Temple of Kopmogu. No changes planned initially. These maps are fast-paced already. True. That's fair enough, yeah. As mentioned above, we're cognizant of tension that can come from having dedicated defender roles within BG. The gameplay changes for Arathi Basin, Deepwind Gorge, and Out of Storm aim to alleviate that tension. Yeah. Because, you can see that being a problem, right? With, like, someone being set to defend and all the situations that might come out of that. Looking ahead, we're approaching this a day in a tempered manner, as adding a new format to PvP is a big commitment. Our intent is to implement this feature as PvP Brawl first, so we can experiment with the format, discover any problems, and consider player feedback. If the format is well received during the Brawl, we can dig into additional details on the plan for rated mode, including rating changes, how the ladder will work, rewards, levers, additional team matching, such as limiting the number of a single spec per team. And then you can host a brawl, guys. We'll host a brawl, P-Brawl, with the Blues event focused on Battleground Blitz and the Guardians of the Dream PTR on Saturday, September 16th. Okay, so this is kind of like my time, I guess, right? Yes. Central European. It's kind of midnight for me. Keep an eye out for the upcoming post with additional details for the PvP with Blues event. Please share your thoughts and feedback was here. We're eager to hear it. All right, guys. Guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, kind of what you think about this. It's kind of like a follow-up almost to my video like a few days ago. What are your thoughts about this? Potential concerns? What do you like about it? And yeah, what do you want to see change potentially? Even though we haven't played it yet. But I cannot wait personally to kind of sink my teeth into this. And I really hope, and I truly think actually, this could be huge for WoW PvP. And potentially even save the game PvP and WoW. Because right now, not many people are playing it. And I think BGs is often people's first introduction to PvP. And if this could be a low queue time and fun and engaging mode in a BG setting, I think that can be great. Of course, good rewards is important. They talk about all the stuff here, like that, you know, that's gonna come later. But if this stuff right here is addressed properly, I think this could be absolutely awesome. Some cool mounts, maybe. All right, good rewards all the way up. That's it, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on my stream or in the next video. Take care. Sorry, I'm a bit fried. I've been making so many videos now about 10.2 stuff. But yeah, take care.